I'm here with Adam Miller yet again at my home, and Adam's brought some research he did that I have no idea what it is. So lay it out for me, Adam.
Well, tonight we're going to talk about, I've mentioned before, these influencers or myself, I guess, or they can really blow up a spot. And we're going to discuss just how that works at times, or maybe some numbers, and I don't know. You might get some flack for your hate mail for correlation does not equal causation on this one, but we're gonna find out together. So
yeah, it's so many things that we discuss. It's like it'd be hard to prove.
Right, but I don't know. Let's talk it out. See,
it'd be hard to prove. There's a lot of stuff that'd be hard to prove unequivocally.
Oh yeah, obviously.
Or equivocally. I mean, not unequivocally. But why do I always gotta try to go for the big word, man?
I don't know.
It's like have a little. It's just like it's a sign of like I have an inferiority complex. It'd be hard to prove demonstrably, without question, beyond doubt. Beyond doubt.
Sure, beyond doubt. That's close enough.
Okay. But that doesn't mean that you can't be pretty damn sure. When a dude films a place and puts it on YouTube,
especially with the reach they have,
says where it is, and it gets 500,000 views.
Oh, we're gonna get to this. I got some things to say tonight, man.
I think that the burden of proof would be on people trying to say that doesn't impact the spot.
Well, the goal of any of these influencers essentially is to influence behavior, or
Well, the dictionary definition of an influencer is somebody that makes social media content in an effort to direct somebody else's expenditures.
Right. But
so you can't say, oh, he's a conservation influencer, meaning like gets you to be a conservation advocate through their content.
Right.
Because that's just not how it's defined.
But what I'm getting is that there's going to be at least a certain amount of people that are influenced to try and replicate the celebrity's hunt.
Oh.
Right?
I have... Randy Newberg's the worst.
Oh, we're gonna lead off with him.
I have so many emails since I started this bullshit of people reaching out to me talking about how he absolutely drew a shitload of attention to their hunting spots.
Oh, we're gonna lead off with that.
Like he also the Chamber of Commerce down in Broadus. Hired him to promote mule deer hunting down there, and I guess really increased and it is crowded down there for mule deer on the forest, and he's I think he's directly responsible for making it so that Arizona mule deer tags went from over the counter to draw.
Oh, buddy, you are getting right to where I'm going with this.
And the Arizona Fish and Game hired him to do that.
Yep, we're gonna talk about him first. So, and folks, I'm picking old hunts here from these. I've picked 3 essentially shows or influencers here, and I'm picking old hunts, ones that are years old now, because I feel like the attention has been drawn to them. The damage is done. So
before we get into this, can I tell you it's my new reason for hating spot burning?
Go ahead.
So it instinctively pisses people off when these yabatses draw attention to specific areas.
Right.
So, I mean, in some sense, it's like completely obvious. I used to hunt this place. I found this place. I used to hunt it all the time. And then this bozo shows up with a camera and blasts it out to the world. And now I either can't get a tag to hunt there anymore, or if I do get a tag to hunt there, it's ridiculously crowded. So you can see where somebody would be pissed if some celebrity trying to make money and draw attention to themselves blows up their spot. But at another level, here's what I think is, because you can always just say about that, well, yeah, but he's spreading the love. Now more people can be there and enjoy, But here's another thing about spot burning, that another way of putting another argument against doing it is it takes the hard work out of hunting.
It takes a lot of it, yeah.
If a lot of these people, okay, you're hunting a spot for years, you put in a bunch of scouting work. Maybe you even drove to another state and scouted.
You had to earn it.
Yeah.
And somebody else gives
like,
it away.
It's not season yet. I drew this tag. I'm going to drive over there or fly there and scout it, then come back and hunt it during season. People do that.
My first elk tag I drove from North Dakota to the state I was hunting in, spent Labor Day weekend hiking and out, camping, finding water sources, finding a best spot to camp, because I was serious about getting an elk.
Then you went home and came back and hunted.
Yeah, I came back and hunted it 2 weeks later.
Yeah, you don't get rewarded for that anymore when they're just like, here it is, guys.
Yep.
So it takes the hard work out of hunting. And to me, the hard work is the reward. That's how I kill stuff. I kill stuff in the summer. When I pull a bow back and shoot, that's like the end part. I kill stuff in the summer.
It makes the payoff at the end makes the payoff at the end the more valuable if you're the one that had to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, let's jump in. We're gonna talk about Randy here right off the bat. So I'm gonna say it's really hard to do an apples to apples comparison here because different states have wildly different methods of allocating tags and how they do draws, general tags versus draw tags, so on and so forth.
Preference points are another thing.
Yeah, preference points versus random draw. So some of this data is gonna be. It's going to vary on how it's presented. Okay. But so like I said, we're going to lead off with Randy here. And so the Hunt Talk podcast released October 15th, 2017. Right? And I remember listening to this and because oh yeah, that's really good information at the time.
Wait, that's their inaugural episode?
No. Okay. He was well into it by this. Okay. So they had just got done elk hunting, right? And they were talking about this wilderness backcountry elk hunt in Arizona with special guest Ty Stubblefield of Backcountry Hunters and Anglers.
I know that guy.
Yep. Thanks, Ty. Really appreciate being involved with this one. So also the hunt is on YouTube now. So anyway. So I thought I would have to try a little bit to figure it out, parse out what they're saying, to try and figure out exactly where he was, right? So
you didn't think that he would just totally
yeah. So I was looking for it, kind of taking some notes as I go. In about the first 20 minutes, Randy gives out the following info. When they're hunting, which is October 6th, he's using a rifle. He's hunting above 10,000 feet, and he talks about the limited opportunity hunts that are available in Arizona. That's a lot of information already, right? So these limited opportunity hunts he explains it as oftentimes these are above population goals, and they're not subject to the non-resident 10% cap. So non-residents just get thrown into the same draw as the residents. The idea is, I guess, some places were overpopulation goals for elk.
It's kind of a misnomer.
Yeah.
To call it a limited opportunity when it's unlimited opportunity.
Yeah. I would say we're going to talk a little bit here, and I think at the end we're both going to agree that Arizona needs to get its shit together.
Well, they are. No, they just made a big change where they've done away with they've done away with auction tags.
Good.
Did you know that?
Yeah, I did hear that actually. That's a big deal.
Yeah, because now they have lottery tags, raffle tags, that everybody can buy the thing,
sure.
But it's no longer that the richest guy gets the tag.
Sure. So anyway, I'm trying to parse this out, thinking I'm looking at the map after he's talking, and that was all for naught because a couple of seconds later he just flat out says it. He's hunting the 7E Peaks unit in this will, and I'm so there's absolutely no secret. But then he goes on to mention just how great the draw odds are for this hunt. So I look them up. 2015. They're depending on that unit, and they're like week-long seasons type deals. Or correct me if I'm wrong, Arizona folks. Go ahead and write in. Let me know how you feel about this.
Well, you gotta give them your email, or they're gonna
no. All the hate mail goes to you. I want you sort through that. Okay. Anyway, so that 2015 is 10 to 38%. 38% is a pretty good draw. 2016, this is the year Randy was looking at it when he applied, right? 14.7 to 43.2%.
Depending on the specific unit.
Yep. So this is the data Randy is using when he applies for this tag, and he's talking how great the draw odds are. Okay, so now in the Arizona's website.
Okay, so let's just reiterate. Let's before attempting forward moves. In 2017.
No, 2015. So he goes hunting in 2017.
Okay. And that year the draw odds were.
Yeah. So I'm getting to that. So in 2016, the draw odds that he's looking for were 43%. Okay.
I thought you gave me a range.
It's 14.7 to 43% for that unit, right?
Okay.
The year before was 10
in 2016.
Yeah, and the year before was 10 to 38%.
But it was stable.
Stable. Okay, so now there's a gap in the data from where Arizona provides it. There's 4 years missing on their website. I can't figure it out.
We should be able to
I should have put it in like an information request, but
yeah.
Anyway, so this is where it gets fun. 2020, it drops down to 8%.
Okay.
In 2021, it drops down to 5.3%.
Okay. People are right now going, yeah, that's COVID.
Yeah, well, 2022 says 17.8. Looks like the newness is kind of worn off. And in 2023, they made changes and they don't really offer that hunt anymore.
Oh.
In that way.
Okay.
So, I don't know. Again, so it's hard. I wish those had those missing years, right?
Right.
But I don't know if that necessarily was COVID. How did all these people just select that unit? You know what I mean?
If you really wanted to look into it, you'd have to have the other years.
I need the other years.
And you'd have to have a benchmark. Mm-hmm. You'd have to have some unrelated unit and see what happens there.
Right.
But even that gets tricky. Because he could have just brought a bunch of attention to the state. So
that's what I'm getting at. So remember that, if you were a resident hunter of Arizona, I would be furious with your Game and Fish and how they're paying, or I don't know if he's still being paid by.
Well, there was a petition.
Yeah.
There was a petition online petition to make it so that they never did that again. Fish and Game in Arizona never did that again.
Well, it's ridiculous.
Plump up an area.
So to see that huge a drop is maybe it was just COVID, but
yeah, hard saying.
It's hard saying, but so that's something that happened.
I mean, one thing with just a piece of data I always point to that we really need to update is, and I don't know if you've seen this on any of our stuff, but we a number of years ago, 2 years ago, we looked at what's happened to draw odds for elk, antelope, and mule deer averaged over all units in Wyoming, Colorado, Montana, Idaho, I think Utah, 5 states I believe it was. And over all those units, the average you had a 50% chance of drawing in 2016. By 2022, it was 25%. So it went from you being able to hunt out west. This is for non-residents. You could hunt out west every other year. Now you can hunt as of 2022. It's probably gotten worse now. It was every 4 years.
Okay, so this was even bigger drop then.
If you graph Google Trends cumulative Google Trends searches for Fresh Tracks plus Meat Eater plus Hushin.
Yep.
It follows the same lines. Those lines overlap almost perfectly.
Right. Which tells me that so COVID, everything, all these people went outside, and I'm going to do some research on all outdoor pursuits And I think we're going to talk about that sometime, and
Yeah, I've had surfers on.
yeah,
I've had 2 surfers
like I
on
found
the
a couple
podcast.
articles about that, but like this to me speaks volumes. I see the trend. Maybe it is just people went outside, but man,
No, Randy Newberg talks about it on his own podcast.
Yeah.
About how interest in Western hunting is increasing.
Mm-hmm. And so that spot's burned.
Yeah.
Let's just so
Yeah, this is something I've said so many times. Is if people listen to this podcast regularly, they're going to get very sick of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I've probably even said this to you. I don't see the difference between ethically, because this is an ethical thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like we're trying to say that it's unethical to blow up somebody's hunting spot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see ethically how it's any different than blowing up the universe of hunting spots.
Sure. I mean, I just
like. I've even had 2 PhD philosophers on this podcast early on that I asked about this very thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is the difference between directing a whole bunch of people to one location and compromising the experience of the people that hunt there a great deal, and directing people's attention towards hunting without revealing a specific location and compromising the hunt quality of all public land hunters a little bit.
Right, and it speaks volumes that if you said that petition and they those people felt that in Arizona.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They like enough to get pissed off enough to start a petition, contact their game and fish, be like, you need to not do this anymore. You're screwing us.
Right. Right.
So, like I said, remember, I'm not an expert on this state, and there's a ton of data to crunch. So even if the state, it doesn't, maybe it's not apples to apples here. But I don't know. How do you feel about it? I mean, do you feel like there's probably a bit of a correlation there?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, to argue otherwise is to argue that advertising doesn't work. Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I couldn't believe that. It's this unit, great draw odds.
There's been a massive increase in Western hunting based media in the last 10 years, and there's been a massive decline in draw odds, and there's been a massive decline in draw odds. The decline in draw odds is most sharp where there's been a lot of attention paid.
Yeah. Yep. So we're gonna keep going with this. Okay. So Meat Eater, right? There's a piece of media out there. I can't remember if it's the podcast or one of the shows where I swear, and it's somebody write in and tell me if I'm crazy in this, where it says something along the lines where it's no secret that
Steve says
wherever Steve says this is wherever Meat Eater goes to hunt, the subsequent years that there is many more people in that spot. Like, I can't remember exactly where he said it. I've been trying to find it. I swear it exists, but hopefully I'm not crazy.
Oh, Sika deer on the East Coast, people were just freaking livid at them promoting that.
Maybe it might have been that. So
I know that some of those guys at Meat Eater felt bad about it.
Yeah, I haven't rewatched it, so I thought it was a Western hunt, but I could be wrong. So
no, they've blown up all kinds of stuff.
You're right. So like, I was trying to find that specific quote, is what I'm getting at.
They've blown up.
I want to change it to
Idaho,
my ring. I want to change it to my ringtone.
Idaho, they did this hunt in Idaho around what's the name of the town where First Light used to be?
Kamiah.
Ketchum.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that at that time that was over the counter for non-residents.
Yep. So
not anymore, man.
It's funny. So if you watch, this specific one I'm talking about is season 7, which is 5 seasons ago, episode 8, and released in October 2018. This is an elk hunt, right? So Meat Eater does this thing in the show where they highlight an area on the map, right? And sometimes it's rather large, like it's hard to determine. So other times it's fairly descript, where they're hunting at. So this one that I'm bringing up, this is in between. And maybe you can give me some insight here. But I do find it's funny. Obviously, they understand the value of information. Because there's one I found was really funny, an Idaho mule deer hunt, where they highlighted like a quarter of the state. So like, where we're hunting, and like point to a state.
Well, it's probably like whatever fanboy of theirs is taking them out there. Either they're concerned about it and they say, "Could you keep it vague?" or not.
And they have recent articles like posted on their website where they talk about how not to spot burn, or like.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they absolutely realize it's a problem. But so this particular hunt, they're in the Bitterroot Range. And he's hunting with...
Remy Warren.
Remy, right? Yeah. So, he's in mid to late November. He's talking, it's in a roadless area, and it's an over-the-counter unit. So that limits it to 3 units. 201, 202, and 240. Right? You probably know where it's at. So, you don't have to tell me. You don't have to say where it is here. Right? So... I kind of graph these out, and it's hard to say the impact. There's a little bit of fluctuation there, but there is one unit where it is from, again, so you guys only provide data after 2016 every other year. Do you know that? Like, no. I can't find 2017 data. I can't find 2019.
On draws?
For numbers of hunters and units.
Oh, okay.
So, like... The only really big jump is from in one unit in 201 from 2020 to 2022. It goes from 1,400 hunters to 2,200 hunters. So I don't know if that's the spot or not. But, there's something going on
It's hard to say without knowing how many tags were issued either.
Right. Well, it's an over-the-counter unit. So this was just looking at the number of hunters that are going to that spot.
Okay.
Right? So in an area with one unit to have an additional 800 hunters in it in 1 year, that's a big jump. I have no explanation for it.
Okay.
Other than that.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Maybe that's not a great one, but
we put some other ones out. Like
yeah.
They did that demonstrate this. Adam Weatherby, he did a bison hunt in Wyoming, and the draw odds went down. We're very stable in the years up to him.
Yep.
And then he did it, put it on YouTube, and then the draw odds weren't good to begin with. Tanked, and then Meat Eater in one of the boundary units outside Yellowstone Park. This is a unit that's very difficult to draw, but the odds were very stable, like 2-3% or something like that, for years and years. And then they did it, and it went down to like 0.1% or something. I don't remember the exact numbers.
Right. So, it's where he's talking about is like Unit 202 has no roadless area. So either he fibbed a little bit or he wasn't hunting there. So it really only narrows it down to 2 units. So I kind of have an idea where he's hunting at. And just that big spike in numbers of hunters, that makes sense to me. People figured it out. So they rushed the area. Now, could I be wrong? I don't know. But these are the, kind of the things I'm seeing.
Yeah. Just again, like across the board. And it's not only Western hunting, it's turkeys in the East. It's deer. White-tailed deer in the Midwest.
Right.
Well, draw odds have plummeted. Crowding has gone through the roof, and that all coincides with a massive increase in hunting media.
Right. So I'm gonna go back and watch that Sika unit. Maybe that was the one where he oversays that. It's where we're gonna come back to that.
I've had people reach out to me that are just still all these years later still livid.
Right.
At what they did to that.
I feel for him, absolutely feel for him.
Yeah.
So
this is one of the many reasons that hunting has no business on YouTube and television.
Well, let's okay. So my last one here. Let's talk about your best buddies, Cam Hanes and Joe Rogan, right? So it's no big secret about where they're doing their elk hunting these days, right?
The Desert Ranch.
Yeah, it's in Utah. It's called the Desert Ranch, which is about 230,000 acres, and you hunt with wild country outfitters if you buy the tag. So these tags are cooperative wildlife management units, and if you book with Wild Country Outfitters, the tag is guaranteed as long as you've got the money, right? You can look at these more if you want, but essentially they're public-private relationships that Utah has. I have some mixed feelings about basically a ranch that's big enough to be its own like personal state, I guess, of how wildlife is managed in it, but that's neither here nor there. So to give you an idea of the reach, Cam has a YouTube video released in September 2018, and it has 4.3 million views, right? As of earlier this month. And this is where he talks about Cam's biggest bull ever, I think is what it's called, or something like that. And if you peruse their photo gallery on the website, the Wild Country Outfitters, you'll see some of the other influencers on there as well, specifically Lee and Tiffany, some other friends of ours. Yeah. And maybe more. I don't know these people by their face. Not important. So as far as the money goes to hunt this place, it's not cheap, right? In
20-some thousand.
In 2020, the base fee was $18,000. In 2022, it was $21,000. Now I'm going to read you a direct quote from their website. Due to the current demand for Utah hunts, we do not currently have any hunts available. Because of the current state of the economy, the decreasing buying power of the dollar, and inflation, we do not have available pricing on our hunts. We cannot project the cost of the hunts in coming years. Folks, these hunts are now market price. Right? You go to a steakhouse.
Right.
And it's
it's demand based.
It is demand based market price. Right? So because of
I wonder what they go for now.
I don't know, but okay, so because of the demand, right, they have a wait list that you can put your name on, which leads me to a really interesting question. Okay? Cam for sure, I assume Joe, have been hunting this spot for a while now. I'm going to be really interested to see if they're available, if they continue to hunt it.
Oh, they will.
Right, because
they're the best advertising. They're the best advertising for it. They probably give them tags for free.
Sure, but because if they are still going to hunt it, I don't want to hear another dumbass word from them about just find another trailhead, stupid, when they're paying for the Disneyland Lightning Lane Pass to get to the front of the line to hunt this place, right?
Well, yeah, whether or not they ever hunt there again, that's my argument. Mm-hmm. Is here's the thing. If we're gonna go into this, we gotta talk about the finding our trailhead. Mm-hmm. Stupid what that even means, because there's gonna be a lot of people here.
Oh, so they were. I think they're talking about you essentially, and they were complaining about that on the Joe Rogan podcast, right? Okay, they're on the Joe Rogan podcast, and they're complaining about Hunt Quietly and how the idea is like if you get to a spot and you go to a trailhead that's just packed with trucks, is get out and find another trailhead, stupid. Meanwhile, they're paying.
And it was prefaced by Joe was like all these people that are bitching about crowding.
Yeah. You know. And meanwhile, this is where he's hunting.
Yeah, it's always been always what's made that absurd to me.
Right.
Is that he has no sense of reality about what real hunting is. It's like, and I don't say this stuff to be like bitching because he has the money to hunt there. I wouldn't hunt there if you gave me the tag. Mm-hmm. It's not what hunting is to me.
Right. Well, like I said, this is Disneyland, and he's paying to go around the lines.
Yeah, right.
It's the Lightning Lane Pass.
But even that's a decent analogy, but it's imperfect in the sense that I would pay to get in front of the line in Disneyland. If in an alternative universe where I like riding those rides, I would pay to cut.
Right.
But I have no interest in this ride. We're talking about a ride.
Right.
The Deseret Ranch, in this analogy, it's a ride at Disneyland. That's not a ride I want to get on.
Sure.
It's just not.
Okay, but I'm getting it. It's funny to me how removed they are to the reality of everyone else. Right?
Yeah.
Like they just. you're looking at everyone else in line, and they're just like, "What's your guys' problem?"
Oh,
you know.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
the first two is like about draw odds and crowding in spots. So I say, so how does this affect the average hunter? The desert. It drags the price of everything else up, right?
Absolutely, it does. It's not like them hunting at the Deseret Ranch just affects the Deseret Ranch.
No, because Deseret Ranch's competitors see it and say, well, if they can charge it, at least I can come somewhere close.
Well, I'd say it's more pervasive than even that is. Some guy goes, I'm gonna check out this elk hunting thing.
Yep, and
then there's thousands of them, and now you can't draw a tag.
Right.
And I'd say that, like, in states like Montana, amenity ranches are old, like, cattle ranches are being bought up and by rich people, and they're often bought just for the elk hunting. And that's because of Joe Rogan and Cam Hanes.
And what I mean, so those cooperative things with the state that Utah has, other states' landowners look at that kind of cash that these guys are getting and go to their legislator and say, why can't I have what Utah has? How do I get in on that? Right? They try it, they say, how do I get these private elk tags that I can sell to these guys?
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
And they've got more money to buy somebody, a legislator, than you do.
Oh,
it's that simple.
We're talking about New Mexico right now. That's another state where these influencers are.
So it's not just people are gonna say you're just jealous. Like, no, I see what's coming down the pike here, guys. Like,
no, anything that makes hunting more sought after. Turns it into a thing where it's like, the more people want it, the more it's going to go to the person that's willing to spend the most. And hunting's my life, so it's not a matter of, for me, it's not a matter of an unwillingness to spend the money. It's that it goes against the whole point to spend the money.
Yeah, I mean.
It's about getting something to eat by my wits,
Sure. Like, I can't argue that or against it. So I bring all these examples up, and obviously there's many. We've talked about several of them here tonight, and we've talked about how this is a problem across the West.
No, we could have a Hunt Quietly team member that just devoted all of their efforts to this research topic.
Right. So I've spoken a couple times about that caribou hunt that I went on. I had to send out an email to their clients to expect traffic. And because it's been made, because of the other influencers that went there, and I guess it's been made clear to me that these hunting celebrities seem to think that blowing up a spot, sending bunches of extra pressure to a unit or a specific place is just the cost of doing business. Right?
I've heard my brother say that.
Yeah.
I've heard my brother say those exact
words.
Which
drives me insane because it's not their cost.
Right.
It's my cost. It's your cost.
Right.
They're costing us. The average Joe is the ones paying this cost.
Yeah, we're paying their cost of doing business.
Right. So the frustration that these average guys must feel when some celebrity doubles the pressure on their spot with something as simple as a YouTube video, or just quite literally driving up the price of a hunt itself, when none of that money comes out of their own pocket, right?
Right.
It's exhausting.
Yeah.
So I think what bothers me the most about it is these guys paint themselves as friends of hunters. And this...
I know.
This is just callous...
And we believe it.
It's just callous disrespect to the rest of us.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have these sponsors to buy us into the game. We don't have production teams and interns that we could pay to pour over decades worth of draw statistics, harvest reports, Boone and Crockett entries, so on and so forth for every state. Right? It's an incredible amount of resources they can put into a spot to blow it up and then move on to the next one.
Right.
Right? So the last thing I want to touch on here is something to consider is if these hunting celebrities have actually started to kind of screw themselves in the process. Right? So Randy's shtick has always been the public land hunter, and it probably always will be, right? But that's how Meat Eater and Cam started as well, right? Mm-hmm. Public land hunters, you can do this too, type thing, right? And I think the idea, they're selling the idea of these hunts that the average Joe can do, that can obtain, right? But I'm wondering if the gradual switch to a lot more of these private land hunts, whether it be in Utah for elk or Texas nilgai, is because they can't depend on drawing
absolutely
public land tags anymore. Like, they did this to themselves to their own problem.
Yeah, it's absolutely that. I mean, Cam hasn't hunted like a place that you can go buy a tag and hunt. Mm-hmm. Just go to the grocery store or the Walmart and get a tag and hunt in decades. I mean, and yeah, I would say with the rest of these shows, like with Meat Eater, maybe it's a little bit of guilt. Mm-hmm. Like maybe they feel guilty, so they're doing more private land stuff, so they're not drawing attention to more places. Maybe there's a guilt aspect. I don't know.
Maybe,
but there's definitely a component of it. It's like, yeah, we've made it. By making our show, we've made it on public land. We've made it so that we can't make our show on public land because we can't get a tag.
So I think the longer and longer they go, the less and less likely their fans are going to be able to duplicate the hunts that they're trying to sell them.
I just wonder when and if people are going to wake up and realize these people are not their friends.
No, I mean they're taking quality hunting and tags out of your pocket.
Yeah,
it's that simple.
Yeah,
and if it could be that these guys are just getting older and don't want to work as hard anymore for some of this public land hunting, but I have a suspicion they know damn well what they've done to you, to me, to the rest of the hunters, and
they have more data than we do.
Yep, and they're not ready to admit that they've ended their gravy train.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's what I wanted to talk about tonight.
All right, that was awesome. Thanks.